I think I should.
They muted themselves. You're not on mute. They muted their little chatter before they start. There's Vince. Okay,
Yeah, I should get a
what you need now?
cloth to.
To what?
My
This kind of cloth? No, not that. You know, this, they're in your drawer here.
That's cool.
That's why I asked you to draw that. Close this door now, okay?
Yep,
I'm closing the door so you don't hear.
yep.
Morning. Hi, Mark.
Hi,
Can you hear us? Hey, Mark.
you sure can.
All right.
Who's taking minutes?
Stephen was, do you want to?
Oh, no, I don't know, no, I'm gonna.
Offering.
Thank you. Not yet.
Am I with things for privilege?
That was my understanding, but
A dentist appointment. She was gonna join us online. And I haven't seen her online yet.
Okay, so it's,
But we also don't have pricing yet, so we also can discuss it in a different way
okay,
as well.
and we'll just get everybody, well, at the minimum, we'll get everybody. Oh, excellent. All right, we'll call the meeting order at 6:32 town time. We call it because it's on the wall and it's, I know it's probably not right. Approval of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes.
Just give me a quick second, because I'm doing the minutes. There's some quick changes.
So we have the
Public hearing first.
here, September 25th, 2025, Steve.
In the public hearing, it's listed as Kathleen Clark is present. She's an alternate. So I just want to make sure that that's marked as alternate.
Okay. And Mark Rosen, Mark alternate as well.
Yes, and Mark Rosen, alternate as well.
one little thing, Kinsella at one point is spelled K-I-N, and at another point for Chris, it's spelled K-E-N, just
Oh, okay.
minor.
I'll look at that. I didn't see that part. Oh, yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Chris.
Eileen's just trying to shed them.
Little by little.
Do we want to do them together, or we want to just do them one at a time?
Since there's change, let's do it one at a time.
Okay,
Is there any other change on that?
those are the only changes I saw on the first one.
Anybody else on the public hearing minutes? If not, motion to approve as amended. So we have to vote to amend.
You just keep it
No,
in your
it's
move.
discussion.
Your
Yeah,
vote. Yeah.
within the motion is to accept the amended minutes or
Exactly.
whatever the
You
right
got it.
term
You
is.
got it, you got it.
Kim, second. You,
Second,
Eileen,
Any discussion? All in favor?
I,
Unanimous. Regular meeting minutes?
same kind of utilitarian stuff. Tim Metzger is not an alternate. Let me just do regular, sorry, I'm just taking the minutes, so it's
No,
tricky.
you're great.
Regular, Tim Metzger is a regular member, not alternate. And then, the alternate is, Kathy, she wasn't listed on the, regular meeting minutes, but she was here for the public hearing, so she was here for. I saw her, but at least she's in the record here.
You
so.
didn't teleport out.
So I just want to make sure, alternate was, written in that she was present. And those were the only, ones in there. Oh, I didn't check for the spelling of consult.
It's correct,
Yes, it's right on that.
consistent at least. I don't, it's a question, it may be right in the minutes, but, you had said on the email that it was at 6:30 instead of everything else is 6.
I see, that discrepancy for the informational.
I have
My,
it,
my understanding was that we had set it for 6:30.
I wrote it for 6.
Okay.
On the minutes, I mean, on the agenda.
I think
Okay.
it started at 6 last night.
You did.
Okay, so 6, great, I will make sure I circle to everyone involved, so 6 PM. We will get to it, but we will also have an end time.
Correct.
Great, so 6 is correct. Great.
Motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Eileen, second. Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Approved unanimous. Public comments? Any?
No one online.
Moving right
Maybe.
along. GIS mapping system. Do you want to maybe, by consensus, just kind of put that on hold in case Caleb does show up, or you want to just go into it? Steve, no, you decide.
Yeah, let's just bang through it, because she can tell us a little bit about things, but I think we understand why we need it ultimately. It was more to have someone else that uses it to help explain the importance of it and why we would want it as a group, but also how our wants and needs actually help so many other people, so many other commissions. So I kind of wanted at least another board to be here to sort of, or another person who uses it, who needs it in our town.
And just
So
for
it's
clarity,
fine.
did you invite the Board of Finance as well?
We didn't get any pricing, so I felt it wasn't
Well,
in
just-
tune to have them yet.
Got it.
Until we actually know numbers, I don't
Yeah,
want
yeah.
them to come yet.
Yeah.
And Janelle's been doing amazing work, behind the scenes
Yes,
trying to find if there was, even grant money available for some of this as well, and that could be huge, because parts of the layers, maybe we can get some state funding, and part of the layers the state has already built, so we might be able to just overlay those as well.
I have to say though, not to cut you off, Stephen, but Rob Phillips' response from the NHCOG did not seem helpful, informative, and or promising.
I agree, but I was trying to be at least a little hopeful in the
I'm
beginning,
gonna
but
call
yeah.
it how I see it.
Yes, he was very
I'm
much
gonna
like,
lead
it's not.
anyone, I don't wanna lead this town astray. And telling them that they're fine with funding in the event that I would not be confident.
Oh, I was still gonna go after our own
Yeah.
funding. I was if there's other layers we can get or other things, we might be able to find some other ways to not pay for things.
My understanding is even for the zoning layer, which is pretty essential to town's mapping, the COG wouldn't even help with that.
Got it.
That's,
how you read it. Great.
oh yeah,
Worth
Yeah.
investigating.
No, thank you for at least asking the question.
we might as well ask I want to keep asking, even if it was a not very informative answer.
No, very much so. But I do think that it's something that we do want. It is something that's very important. Has anyone played with it at all? Looked at their little lots? It's so fun. It's fun to explore town. I've been looking for hay fields, not cornfields, and that's been sort of fun and interesting too.
Yeah, any luck?
I've got a couple, but I don't know the people, so I need to do a little more work on that. And
Cool.
mine's only about 4.5 acres, so I gotta see if they're willing to
Sent you a drone over my
go
house.
small. No, it was on the
We
GIS.
We have tree harvesters in this town. You can go to 10 real quick at your.
We could very easily, yes. Wouldn't be bad. It is forest, so I guess I could cut those trees down.
I've got 7 or 10 right now.
On the other side in the back, we were thinking about combining
Can,
some ideas.
commingle a little bit.
But the GIS is super important. It is just an asset, and we're gonna talk about moving forward with different things that we want to accomplish as a commission. And the village business district, coming up with the cluster housing, coming up with multifamily homes, all that stuff is really gonna take place in our village business district. And the ease and convenience that we could have once this system gets in place would be a dream for us. I mean, let alone Janelle was saying, or sorry, Kayla was saying in the meeting, for us to do mailers, it's like a one click. You literally go 100-yard radius around this one property, and it gives you everybody's address and I mean, so it's functional even for citizens of if they need to do mailers for us. It helps them, not just us. So I feel that it's super cool, and please go online and explore it. It's really fun, and even though there's not much there, it's still really cool to look at. And what we also learned within Kayla showing us the thing is that it's so expandable. If all of a sudden inland wetlands wanted to come up with some funding, they could do their layer. We have the Housatonic River, and they could put a layer. I mean, it could grow in so many ways. And getting to what Doug works on with the POCD, it could really help us find opportunity. One of the things we talk about is economic development. If we could look at where our village business zone is and what properties are next to it, and how you could develop that, or how you could extend something. I mean, it would allow us to do our jobs
Accurately.
and continue forward with the POCD, which I think is our commission, what we're here to do.
So, I think it's safe to say the hurdle for us is the town funding, getting the financing.
Yes.
I mean, the benefits are endless, but money unfortunately is not.
It seems, we were all in the meeting, it seems like it's a positive thing. I think we have support with selecting, we can do it over a 2-year period if we can't get the funding up front. There is 20,000 to play with within the budget, so there is some money to play with, so we do have some opportunity. I think we just need, Janelle's gonna talk next week with the gentleman to get some pricing, to get a better idea of what we're looking at. So at the next meeting, I think we can come up with a plan of how we want to present to the town or to the selectmen or the Board of Finance.
Could it be shared with another town?
No, it's our town.
We can try to build them and see if they'll pay it.
In a way, what we learn from it might be able to be.
Are there competitors?
There's a few different companies that do it. We've already have a company that Kayla's been working with, and she just changed to this company. So she did a lot of research to try to find what worked best and what was the right
It wasn't
one.
comparison shopping. I was thinking about, as I went through it, I thought of places I lived, and I said, I wonder if boom, I could look up those properties that I was thinking, and everybody has one.
Oh, yeah, every town has one, yeah. They're all
So I was
different.
wondering, are we late to the party?
Oh, yeah.
Very,
I-
very,
It's a small
First
town.
cleanup, yeah.
I understand it happens with.
There's even some state statutes that we're not even living up to that we need to
feels like-
actually get done.
It feels like we should get with the times,
Very much.
not just for us, but all the people that would, realtors.
That's what I said, it helps so many people besides just our little commission.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal. And what we also learned is when we change like our zoning regs, sometimes that changes property values, which will help the assessor come up with what she needs to do for her job. So works around more than just even our little commission. And I think that that's how we have to sell it to the town, that even though we're the ones putting our hands up asking for the money, it's beneficial to many more people than just our commission and even just our township. I mean, it's for people outside our township to do research or find places, or as you were saying, real estate agents, I bet would use it a lot.
You just said, is this, this is zone, enough to come down, you just have it all there,
Yeah, and it's on the map over there.
Yeah.
You gotta get out of that map over there.
I think, Stephen, it's important to highlight, it's a cost up front, but it's also a cost savings on the back end. A lot of the questions that I field, if others knew we had this public service, I would not be spending the time one-on-one with realtors, with property owners, with others. I get a lot of emails about the zoning designation. The zoning designation that shows up on the assessor's card is not a zoning designation that actually exists in the town. So it's like R80, which causes quite a lot of confusion for realtors and for property owners, because they are led to believe that due to the field card, that their zone is R80, which in fact is not a zoning code that we have in our regulations. So a big piece of the work, which will be the hump of the initial cost, is to make sure that in the field card, we're getting that zoning classification accurate. And I don't know where this original zoning coding comes from, where that data even gets pulled from. I've actually never seen such a discrepancy where there's zoning codes that don't actually exist in the town being pulled into the field card. So that's number one to get sorted out, because it is misinformation and usually quite confusing.
Adds to our mystique.
Exactly.
Anything further, anybody? Any questions? All right, more to come next month. Informational meeting with Falls Village Housing Trust and Habitat for Humanity scheduled with November 5th.
Correct, Wednesday, November 5th at 6 p.m. I just sent out a reminder to our partners, the Habitat for Humanity Northwest Connecticut, and also the Falls Village Housing Trust, the invitees rather, to confirm that's a 6 p.m. start time.
And so Janelle had forwarded everybody some informational session questions for consideration. We allowed our, we had told the Housing Trust and Habitat that we would give them the questions that we have up front, so they can not be on the spot and understand what kind of the direction we're going. So Janelle came up with 7 great questions, some of which I had in mind, some not. But it would be great to know if you guys have anything to add to this list.
I was just, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, and I should have thought of this earlier and looked back, but in previous meetings where we've had public comment and Coulter was here,
Yeah.
he kind of rattled off a number of questions that he had and others had. And I didn't know if any of those were beneficial to include.
Well,
Some of those in
These
there.
were crafted based on
Okay.
those
coming from
comments.
general,
Okay,
he'll still, I'm sure, have some.
Oh,
of
sure.
the
Public
others,
comment
which
will
is
be part
great.
of it as
and
well.
I just wanted him, but I wanted him to be sure
Yeah.
that he knew we were.
Yeah, and I,
Listening.
the feedback we've heard is so far, I think, from everybody, so just happy to be able to
Have a
have
conversation.
this, both on the
Yeah,
housing trust and
makes sense.
Habitat side, plus the residents, it's something they've been looking for a long time, is an avenue.
Mhm.
This is an avenue. Now, mind you, we will have some guidelines, and I think maybe a little pre-start of the presentation of, listen, we're not going back
That's what I was concerned about.
and arguing about the validity of the IAC zone. We're not here tonight for that. We're here to listen to the housing trust, to listen to Habitat, to ask them questions. And, we're not gonna rehash whether the planning and zoning noticed Bob Anderson. We're just
Yeah.
not gonna go down there.
It's gonna be really hard, though. 'Cause there's
It's gonna be
few
hard.
people that
Yeah.
will go there,
Yeah,
so.
but it's, that's, the benefit of it isn't there.
Well, it's
The
also,
benefit is
that's what a
from here.
moderator's job is to
Right, to
also
cut it
do,
off
is to
in the
move
beginning.
the conversation forward when a topic is not able to be addressed.
Yeah, and given, respect, not talking over people and letting people have their chance. It's pretty simple, I think. This is a good start, and I think organically, it's just gonna go where it goes anyhow, but Tim?
I was just thinking that before any questions get asked, it'd probably be good to catch the community up to what the status is now. As far as this board or why it came to that, that they're why we're here. Instead of in the past, this is now. It's just
About why the planning and zoning is holding,
Um,
kind of brokering.
well. That and,
Nina.
Do they have all their paperwork in? Have they gotten to a point where we now have to, look at all this stuff and make some decisions that we want down? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's not, until they put a application in, there's not a whole lot for planning and zoning to do yet.
it's worth telling that's the status, nothing's been filed. They're asking
Yeah.
questions. It's a back and forth.
So I just wanna make sure I'm understanding correctly, so it's more along the line, you understanding? Kind of like,
Yeah.
I think. it's
are
looking
you ready to start coming to the town? Are you at that point? Is that kind of where
I think
you're?
that if I came. When I got here, this was going down in COVID time and I didn't know exactly what the status was. Did they have an application in? Our job as regulatory is not to say this is a good plan or not, but it meets the guidelines. I think explaining all that, what we do.
Yeah. That's right, so an explanation of the planning and zoning's role in that.
Our role.
Confirming where we are today.
And in the process to actually go ahead and build this is what needs to happen. Here we are at the beginning.
And that's part of what 2 and 3 are talking about, is talking about their site plans, talking about timelines, those are sort
Yeah.
of those next steps
That-
within the.
That
process.
residents often have this feeling that the board is making these decisions. This is not a community open. Now, here it is, open, and this is the process, and we're only allowed to say yes or no, because you met all the guidelines, and you turned it in,
Yeah, and it's gonna be, if I had my crystal ball, it's gonna go down the road of whether, is the town gonna be liable for if X, Y, and Z is not met? And the bottom line is no, it's no different than if, Tim, you were building a house and you only partially built the house. We don't own that liability,
Yeah.
but that's going, to my understanding, through some grants, but that's all been changed. And again, that's old stuff that's been hashed and rehashed.
Well, the financing is still a big question.
And that's a good question. I think that's a fair question.
Right.
It's just a matter
It is
of
a-
the financing. The
yeah.
town of Canaan is not taking out the loan. Fallsville's Housing Trust is its own entity or whatever, however, it doesn't even matter to us because financing of a project doesn't fall under our purview. However, it does, and it should be brought out in this informational session because.
Janelle did add that in, so we
Yeah.
can definitely bring
Because
it up.
that's what that's an important question and hopefully some of those answers can help the citizens get a better look at it. Yeah.
So in question number 7, we actually mention the incentive housing zone. And I
Yeah.
think if we want to avoid that coming up as a topic, we want to take that out of this question.
Well, but we can't because that whole question stems from it being an IHC.
Can we rephrase it though and ask the question, because it's not just about, River Road Homes, but it should be about all of the projects that Falls Village Housing Trust has in town. Who is monitoring, tracking your requirements around affordable housing? So can we word it in that light so that any project that they have, that we're kind of asking who's running them, right? And are you prepared to follow the guidelines to be able to continue calling it affordable housing, right? Because if they don't meet the requirements of verifying income, then they can potentially we could lose that unit as an affordable housing in town. So we want to make sure that they're following, HUD regulations and saying, yep, I verified their income, here's what they make. And what happens when that person gets a new job and all of a sudden they're making too much money to live in that unit, right? And then we want to make sure that they have the right people administering not just River Road Homes, but all of their projects.
Right. And I understand what you're saying, where I think that's on our side, we just want to be very clear to both well, to the housing trust or Habitat if they wouldn't need it.
So the question is worded that way because those regulations, so the regulations strictly state that there has to be an administering agency in the IHZ. It's inherent that anywhere there's affordable housing, there's an administering agency. In every other case, as zoning regulations should, they don't get involved with that. Where the IHZ is, in my humble opinion, flawed is where it gets into the details of the administering agency, which is never going to be the P and Z's purview, nor should it, because like we really are not qualified
Mhm.
in those capacities. So this is a tricky one, and I completely understand like going down that IHC rabbit hole. But how to word this to acknowledge that it's in our regs and to make sure that it gets broached and
Maybe we just say per our regulations,
got it.
River Road Homes would require an administrative
Mm-hmm.
agency, which the P and Z.
But
Which
not even
then-
River Road Homes, because so would the
Well,
other IHC
Habitat.
project.
So you
The
have to
Habitat.
make it
It's
clear.
So these two projects, or
Yeah.
the projects on.
Affordable housing.
Regulations
On
in,
that, what's that stretch of road?
Oh.
River Road. I can get rid of the, who's it trying to get in my head? The River Road projects
yeah,
would require, at least it takes,
Takes that phrase out.
yeah.
regulation, or sorry, per, I'm just trying to get the wording,
Yeah,
per,
per
our-
P
hold
and Z
on.
regulations.
hold on one second, I
Mhm.
was just trying to think. Per our regulations. I lost my thought.
Just kind of like, per our regulations, administrating agencies would be required.
Well, the thing is, per our regulations, the P and Z is named as the administering agency.
But there's unless they don't feel qualified or something along those
Yeah,
lines.
yeah.
And it needs to be approved by the Board of Selectmen if it's an outside agency.
So how
We
should we
just gotta
say
sort
this?
of maybe just
Per-
almost take it from our regulations. I don't have one on top of my head.
Per our regulations, an administering agency is required in this area.
On these,
For these projects.
for these projects on
Great.
River Road.
Great. That
So it
really,
doesn't, and if
yeah.
they have other projects in the center of town, it doesn't fall under that.
Correct.
that's a nicer way to word it. Is required for these projects. And then it will just simply include that second sentence that just says the P and Z does not intend to fulfill the
Correct.
role. Great, that's much better wording. And then we still mention administering agency.
Yeah.
Great, that's
It's
much better.
approved by the BOS.
Great, good suggestion. Yeah,
Couple questions. Number two, the last sentence, when do you endeavor to be breaking ground? When do you expect? Or when is endeavor the right word? And I just don't understand.
Anticipate.
When do you?
endeavor is more of like aspirational.
Hope to, yeah.
Okay, so that's fine in there? Great. I just wanted to understand the word. Um,
It's a British choice of words.
and then my other. And then my other point, I think we really should talk about this from our perspective is that we haven't fulfilled our role yet. They still have to come with site plans. There are changes that can happen to this project because site plans haven't even been provided to us. So I think we also need to talk about change as being part of this as well. And either the Falls Village Housing Trust or someone should sort of explain that, and maybe it's up to us, is we were a planning side then, which is all aspirational. So we accepted all of this stuff as ideas. And it could totally change when they come to us with site plans.
So one important thing to note, the site plan approval has taken place for Falls Village Housing Trust for River Road Homes.
Mhm.
That site plan approval happened and then the renewal happened.
Or it was
So we do have site plans.
for that. Okay.
Yeah, so I would just, for the record, be careful with our disclaimer.
Okay, great. No, I just wanted to make sure that people understood the changes.
And they're not so much ideas, they're really scaled engineered drawings to be built per plan. Like, we're not taking a narrative and saying this is fine. It's a very technical drawing that's being accepted for Falls Village Housing Trust, they're there. And you're right, modifications can certainly happen. We don't have an active zoning permit. So they still have to go through the zoning permitting process and all the subsequent processes that are potentially with other agents, like the building official. I don't know where they're at with their infrastructure, health, water.
Sure.
And then Habitat for Humanity, for everyone that wasn't sitting around this table, they only came for that informational.
Got it.
So that wasn't even, it was a plan, but it wasn't a site plan.
Okay.
Yeah, so just,
Mm.
whoever is giving,
conceptual.
yeah, it's conceptual, whoever wants to give. My thought of the format of this evening, to put our chair on the spot completely, is that he would be the moderator and field the questions, and I would depend upon this commission to frame all of what it is that you are saying. So the Falls Village Housing Trust in the northwest corner, Habitat for Humanity, they don't understand, and they might even need some reminding. Per your suggestion, you don't make a decision based on whether or not you like a project. For your suggestion, some people may not even remember that the site plan has been approved.
Right.
So I think just as many different, and I don't know how to manage this, and this is really for you as the chair, how you want to make sure that obviously the P and Z gets represented and represented well, and that you're moderating the meeting so that questions get fed through you and not across
Right.
from a resident to the applicant, so that we're sort of safeguarding that
Yeah.
dialogue.
Yeah, which is, we wanted a safe spot, safe space. That was our agreement with the
Yeah.
hosting the housing trust and okay.
I don't mind helping along, being sort of like, "Shh, not right now. We'll get to your questions."
Or the eye.
Or like just keeping what will be really, it might be helpful too, when we do open up for this public moment, to feed the questions through you,
Yeah.
so that the rephrasing can happen. Like, much to Kathy's point, she took some language and made it much more neutral. And just like in the heat of the moment, being able to take some language that we anticipate will be charged and making sure that we can reframe it.
Yeah.
So
And-
that's gonna be a heat of the moment
And,
thing.
there's just so nobody's taken by surprise. It's very difficult and complex if certain questions are asked. So that project, if we're going back to COVID times or I guess that COVID, pre-COVID maybe, the state approval, is approval the right word, or acceptance, or you don't know exactly where I'm going yet, but it's like, it's kind of not, it's defined for X number of units on the lot, but the lot was presented as the 10-acre piece or 80. And honestly, I have to refresh this in my memory. I don't quite remember the exact details. But Habitat, if they were to come in and put 10 units, how does that cross to what the state approved?
Well, that point was brought up
But I don't think we need to.
a couple
access
years
the state.
back. Because there was approval for 14, but the proposal says 16 on the same acreage. And that was one of the arguments that you may hear from Colt or some of the people that oppose it, which is legitimate. The state approved, yet it's different. So that's a
So
question.
you have that, but then if you add 10 more on top of that, because they kind of approved the zone, even though it's own, and it's complicated, but
Yeah.
it may come out. I mean, I don't know the answer, and I'm not gonna try to make up an answer, but we may hear it that evening.
I would say that's a great question to pose to the state. So, because the state, there's a preliminary application which is quite thick, that the state received to bless the IHZ being enacted. So in order to do so, you had to go through some sort of state approval, and then now the local approval, one, I believe, is arguing that it's not in line with the original state
Right.
application, which is perfectly reasonable.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the state, it's more of like I would never step on the state's toes and say like, well, locally, this is no longer valid. I definitely punt it to the state and say,
Sure.
is this valid?
Sure.
Just because they originally blessed it, but
And they love to
Understood.
answer questions.
they love to answer questions.
Can I go back to the administering agency thing?
Yes,
Not to beat it up too much, but the question that Janelle has posed is, do you have in mind who's going to fill that role, who's gonna serve? Is there a timeline for that? Let's just say we're sending them these questions in advance, but if they don't have an answer for this meeting, in the process of getting final approval, does this fit in there as a criteria?
Yes.
All right, so then the other half would be, because I'm unaware of it, and Kathy brought up a great point. As an example, somebody gets a job, now all of a sudden they earn too much, they don't fit into that profile of affordable. So is there a checklist of duties that that administrating agency has to follow? I'm not familiar with it, that's all, but there is, so that's something legit.
I'm just not in my head with your question. I don't know.
No, yeah. Sharon, Housing Authority, for example, with the Sharon Ridge, they do like this vetting where I don't know what income verification and year to year and all of that. Which,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, they should, the residents would have to recertify every year. Right, so if they move in August 1 and that's the start of their lease. And they do a 10-month or a 12-month lease, every year they should have to recertify, provide new income certification and all of that. So then it just becomes who's managing that
Right,
process.
right, that's my
And then
question.
who's saying, okay, well, yeah, guess what? Now you make too much money.
But
And-
at this meeting, though, we don't want to be bringing up those details. They should be
No.
telling us.
Right, and I guess really the question would be, have you considered a professional property management company, right?
Right.
That would be
Right.
the direction that we would want to see them go in, so we know that it's someone who's doing it.
Can we say that? Like, we recommend
well,
that they use a professional
Well, I think
or,
ultimately they have no choice, but.
and-
you have to.
I just don't
It's
want
like-
to see this meeting become this big dialogue of details that they should have the answers to, and we don't have
Well,
it
and that's
right.
what we're gonna,
Yeah.
I'll do my best at moderating that
Mm.
out the best that you can, but there
Yeah.
could be some points where.
And this is also
Sometimes you let them go a
informational,
little
it's
bit and then
not-
you pull the reins, cause it
We're not
could lead to
voting.
something.
Right, we're trying to
You just don't
share
have all.
Or,
stuff.
right,
It's
for
not-
example, if they say we don't, you can follow up with what would be your methodology for selecting any, or do you have have you had any other towns recommend you? Like, there's follow-up questions that you'll,
So it's really becomes like a big awareness meeting of the current, of now.
Yeah, and I would, you've heard these words from me before, but I would look at it as a hard restart.
Mm.
We've got these groups that have been butting heads for 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
Let's just, here we are again, we're giving, the opposing group a forum that they've been asking for a long time. So let's use that as a refreshing moment and, if you want to stay in the old fight, we can't administer that out. But we're at least giving a voice to something, it's a difficult process and, I believe there is inherent issues with IHC zones in that there's really no relief to an issue unless you go to Superior Court, I would think. And that's kind of typically there's like a relief, there's there's something, an appeals process
Right.
of some sort, but it was never built into it, which is not our issue, but it's our issue because it's our town.
Mhm.
Okay. Question, we're there as the Planning and Zoning Commission, but you're also citizens of this town. And if you were to have a question for Habitat or the Housing Trust, I think you should ask, but maybe, go ahead,
I'm just confused because they asked for scripted questions, so
but during the public comment part, if so,
I don't know I don't know that they have that understanding that. Cause the request was, will we be given questions in advance and saying, hey, here are some sample questions and then we'll turn to public comment. Like, my understanding of the request was we would hand them a list.
okay,
of
so this is all we're
questions.
gonna. You know. what
I
mean?
have
'Cause
no
feel-
idea. I just
well,
wanna manage expectations of the invite that we did send. That letter that we wrote
Yeah.
didn't mention that there was gonna be,
An opportunity
That-
for residents to ask questions as well.
yeah, that, I can reread the letter just so we're all,
Yeah, I mean, and I did obviously work with you on the letter, but
yeah.
maybe it was
Good to
just
refresh
my,
our memory.
I guess, maybe unspoken expectation that it would be a
Mine too,
forum, but, and if they're against it, they're against it, but I think that we ought to try to.
but maybe even as you see how like the demeanor is continuing, if there's a moment during the meeting where you can say. Does anyone from the P and Z have a question yet to be asked? Are you comfortable with this? You know, I just wanna.
But
The
yeah, I
chances
guess I
of
don't
not
want,
having answers ready at your fingertips are gonna be greater than if you give them the questions in advance.
Yeah.
Looking for that.
for sure. And I just want me, you know, I just want you to remind you are a member of the public and you do have, if they will, you know, if they're agreeable to answering public comment questions, then.
How do we,
you are a
I
member.
don't see how we don't include that. How do you not include that in a forum like this? The whole idea was, it started with Coulter coming in saying we've never had an opportunity, and so if we're gonna restrict that, I think it's unfair for one thing, but it's really not gonna solve any of
For
the
sure.
divisiveness or,
Mhm.
you know.
So just to reiterate, just to remind everyone, in July 31st, the letter that went out to everyone, to the. Have the Falls Village Housing Trust and Habitat for Humanity that was agreed upon by this commission unanimously. Did say the P and Z offers itself as a co-host for this event. So that the meeting will be run effectively and respectfully. It will first be moderated with questions that will be shared with you in advance. We do suggest that time be allotted for questions raised by residents.
Excellent.
Yeah, no.
So we have that flexibility,
Good.
so that's built in, and we just said we will partner with you to make sure that the. Portion of this event is well managed,
Yeah,
so that was the
absolutely.
process.
No, it's good.
And
That was
information
good.
sharing has to be both ways. It can't, information
Yeah.
can't be shared one
I
way.
just wanted to verify.
Right.
And I think just to make sure in the heat of the moment that questions aren't like being voiced to the Habitat for the Humanities folks or to the Housing Trust folks, but through the chair in like a very respectful way. And we're all here to guide that and make sure.
And maybe that's the point we have to make in the very
I
beginning,
think
right?
you-
That public comment, public questions have to go to
Yeah.
the chair.
It'll be like a town meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Roberts.
And I think
Roberts rules.
Yeah.
for everyone too, to just listen and be quiet for a little bit, to like for the chair to even say, we have 8 relatively complex prepared questions. We will work through those first, giving everyone equal time. And then we
They
will
may
get
answer
to
a
the
lot of
public
questions for you.
question. Yeah,
You have to do it. The idea is that they're gonna
yeah,
touch on a lot of subjects,
yeah.
concerns.
And-
Actually 7 questions.
Yeah, and we don't have to be limited to one session. Say
Yeah.
say the feeling is great and there's interest of. We just run out of time because we can't, it has to be set, what did we say, 2 hours, hour and a half,
That would be
Mm.
great.
hour and a half, something like that.
Yeah,
Because it just becomes, it's like our meetings, right? If they go too long, they're just not productive and
Yeah.
then you're repeating yourself. So, but if we reach agreed upon time to 7:30,
I'm
I
gonna
just saw
put that
somebody
on my-
wrote. Then we can say, hey, you know, do you guys want to continue another night? And we can set up for
Another one.
another time.
Do we acknowledge that, you know, that there may be many questions, but they all may not be able to be answered here and now?
Yeah.
We
yeah,
only have so much time.
Because that will give us to cut it off, or there's gonna be things that are probably gonna be statements in fact or not fact, but there's still gonna be that in the air. And I like the idea of questions, 'cause if I don't have the answer to that question, we'll get back to you, and maybe we have questions that can't be answered on the moment. Should have a-
And that's a very valid point. So if they don't have it, you know, if we had another session potentially, if there turns out to be a lot of questions. Because then again, what is the relief to the question if you don't get an answer?
Mm,
But it's not fair to be able to answer on the spot if you don't have the information in front of you.
Mhm.
And you know, if it's something that could be answered, you know, we'll have to kind of feel that out. But if it's something they just don't have with them or they need to meet to get back.
Really helpful just for us to acknowledge that's a really good question for us to make sure we get answered when we do have a public hearing. Hopefully, what this will also do for everyone here and on November 5th is cut down the time that you'll be spending in those hearings. Because of the back and forth and maybe some of the misconceptions and the dialogue that goes on during those public hearings. Many of us witnessed the really long River Road Homes public hearings during COVID online. Hopefully, this could quell some of those questions and dialogue that came up that really wasn't germane to the application review process.
Is there any concern, and I wasn't part of any of that, so I didn't get to witness all that, but is there any concern that if the residents that are particularly passionate about this feel as if there is no limit or there is no end, if there's more questions, well, there'll be more sessions, that it would just linger and carry on? And whereas if we have questions that maybe that they're not able to respond to in the moment, they have to go do some research or get some information, that maybe those questions could be documented and then that information presented in a written response on the town
That's a
website.
really good-
Nice idea.
That's a really.
I just wonder about it
Yeah.
going
well,
on,
it will-
because some folks,
And
it'll be tough.
I understand your point, and I think ultimately that's the moderating part.
100%, yeah,
Because they do run out of questions. If you don't repeat,
yeah,
7 people repeat the same question over
Yes.
12 times.
correct, yeah,
You run out of questions pretty quickly.
okay.
Will it be Zoom?
No.
No, in person.
Just make it out.
How,
Oh, did you really?
Okay.
how is this put out to the public so everyone knows?
That's a good question that we had briefed. We're open for suggestions, but we're thinking the town website, the community newsletter. I don't know if anybody else has
The
other.
fire
On the form.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
November 5th.
you can help us with that.
Yeah,
Excellent.
it's been firm for about 2 months.
Yeah.
The firehouse
That's
has
awesome,
that
yeah.
beautiful marquee. Right now they're advertising the Cannonball Run. But we have 4 days after the Cannonball Run. Maybe we could ask just informational housing, community informational housing session, just those simple words. Cause every time I drive by that sign, I keep an eye at what it says.
So with all of us going to be there, is it going to be a meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it has to be posted.
Yes.
yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
When, yeah. we want it to
What
be-
are your thoughts on expanding question number 5 a little more? Because I know one of the questions Coulter has or expressed concern on is that they raise money, they clear cut the lot, and then the lot just sits there. So what if we expanded on that question to say something to the effect of, not just how will your project be paid for, but what is the total cost? How much money have you raised to date? And what are the future sources of funds?
Oh, that's
And will you
great.
build it in stages? In essence, or are you waiting until funding is full? You know what I mean? So
Right.
are you gonna raise, I'm just picking a number, $150,000 to clear the lot? And then when you get another $750,000, you'll put in a road?
And then it sits there for 2 more years until you get the additional funding, right? Because if they're counting on state funding totally, right, they're not gonna get it all in one lump sum.
Do you mind repeating what you had so nicely said? You said, what is the total
What is the
project
total
cost?
project cost?
Yeah.
How much of the funding have you secured to date?
Yeah,
And then what are your expected future sources of funding?
When we saw Jandy last, they did not have that 800 that they were expecting. She wasn't sure, it was still up in the air. So that's a big one. That's a chunk of
I thought she said they did have it.
it's still hanging out there. When she came in and met with us, I asked her specifically and she said no. But they were working with the state
Oh,
to try
okay,
to get it.
okay.
Is
So it's
it,
probably still
state
available,
or
but it's
federal?
not sure it's been received.
Was
It could have been
money?
federal, could have been.
I wonder if it's endangered.
Yeah, right, which I think is a good, leads to ask that question of, where is your money coming from, right? Because that also will you know, it could take 10 years for them to raise all the money if they're not gonna go to the bank account. All
I know
right,
I'm sorry, I know that group too has asked numerous times, what are you budgeting for? What's your budget for this project? And there's been no answer given.
Correct.
So I'm sure that's gonna come up,
yeah.
you know.
I think the last number I saw was like $6 million. And that number, I think, is probably 5 years old,
Right,
Yeah.
which means that it's probably closer to 30 or 40 million to build right now,
exactly.
you know?
So Kathy, I have for 5 now in lieu of what was written. What is the total project cost? How much of the funding have you secured? And then the final one, which I was trying to type very quickly.
What are your expected future sources of funding?
Great, expected future sources of funding. We're doing this in real time tonight.
And do we wanna ask about the stage of construction? Are you gonna stage construction, or should that be question number 8, or? Do people think it's even worthwhile?
I have, what is the proposed timeline, target timelines for completion of? Of, I wrote those projects, I wanna change that, of the project. Of your project, of the,
Yeah, it maybe just we could work into that. Are you planning on doing it in stages as you secure funding? And I think
Yeah.
that would cover that.
You have to
Yeah,
give each organization a chance to answer each one of these, right? They're separate.
Yes,
yes,
They're-
do you
So,
plan
Question one,
to?
yeah.
yes.
And do we know for sure that Habitat is going to give Falls Village Housing Trust the land?
I heard
It was,
from David Mallison when I met with him this week that that was possibly in the works. And I think that we can hear from them.
Yeah, hopefully,
Yeah.
and that's a good question.
What do you
It's a
mean,
great
give it
question.
versus the 200 and something
They-
that
well,
was originally?
well,
so owned by
Habitat wasn't gonna
Yeah, the land has
give them
been
the
transferred.
land to, unless, was it unless?
I haven't seen the documents, I can tell you that.
Yeah,
There's a certain amount of money, and then when the deal was done, the Habitat was to get that money, and I think it was over $200,000. If I remember something about it, but when you said, are they gonna give it to them, I thought there was a change in that.
Oh, no, I meant do this.
Make it formal.
More, yeah, make it formal,
Paperwork done.
cause if they weren't gonna get the A-OK to build the the housing, then would Habitat still offer them the land?
I think it was, had to do with that they didn't have the money. And they came to this agreement. When it all got done and it was covered, you'll get your money and we'll agree to that. It might be changing, I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know.
that's where we're having this forum. So we can ask those
Right.
questions.
Just put them in my calendar, right, that we have a farm, right? They know I'm free that night.
There's people asking questions, stand at a podium or have it like a microphone's gonna record them instead of being all over. I think it leads to a little more organization saying, you're at the podium, you get to
Yeah.
talk, you have to sit for a minute.
I like that.
Instead of all the,
Yeah,
I'm just thinking of the meeting we were at for the.
Town budget.
Town budget was also,
The firehouse maybe?
it would have been something we were trying to get, trailers.
Oh, yeah.
At the meeting of trailers, there's questions jumping up all over it. It was being identified quick and the whiplash of. It just
Well,
seems like the
yeah.
orderly is like, you can speak when you're at the microphone, please,
Yeah.
might help.
Yeah,
And Chairman, where do you want the P and Z members? Do you want them like all in one flank behind you?
back to my wartime strategy. Let's see, we wanna be diamond.
I'll hold the hose.
Like Saturday Night Live all over the audience.
Doug, are you bringing the flaming arrows?
Yes.
Can I take something?
Can I be the audience plant and
I
I'll
think all these
stand?
organizations should be separate by you. So it's clear who's answering side to side and
Great
not
point.
blended on a table to your left while we're all on one other side. So visually, that's the more important than where we are.
Mm.
Could be
Mhm.
behind, could be up to the side.
Great point.
I like
Yes.
that.
But they just, you can understand with that.
Yeah, who's the
name
Falls
tag.
Village Housing Trust
So
and
what are we
who is
doing?
Habitat? No, I think that's very,
I was gonna know that right off the bat.
no, that's super smart.
Who is the Falls Village Housing Trust?
Yeah. And that could be a question that people ask.
Please identify yourself. Yeah.
Who are you?
And I
Take your
think-
mask off.
I think not being afraid to ask people to state their name clearly, just.
Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking, Tim, I love that idea, so I was
Yeah.
thinking maybe. I could sit in the middle with Janelle on my flank to protect my six.
On your lap.
Close enough to elbow.
So that we can confer about the,
Like
if
ninja
I need
outfit.
the technical
Sure.
zoning questions.
You'll be in the shadow, just waiting.
Housing
Right.
trust and habitat, and then the commission could just be front row or whatever, it doesn't really matter.
And
Or
so
they could sit on the out, whatever.
we'll have, so if it's an official meeting, then we'll have someone taking minutes for this?
Yeah,
Did we do that?
yeah. we
Yeah,
could-
there's not a lot of action,
Okay.
so it's not like an action where motions are being made, it's
Yeah.
more of.
Could just record it.
I just thought if people
There's
that
no
wanted to be
question
there
about
but
it. You
can't,
should
they could at
record it.
least see or know what happened or what was discussed and stuff.
Recording it. is
Even if
wrong.
it's more like what Denise did, you know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
official minutes,
Could
but just
record it
a
without.
Yeah.
summary.
Recaps.
Yeah, recap,
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
like
just
audio.
record the whole.
Just with an owl, who?
I don't know the capabilities in the firehouse whatsoever with ATV and.
Oh,
The tower's right there, they must.
That's
must
true.
have to, right?
We'll run some wires up.
I mean, I think if you record it, it can be transcribed later.
Exactly.
Immediately.
Plus you want to, you're gonna want to hear a lot of these answers 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
Not the same night.
that's not my job to transcribe it. It's somebody, but
It's the beauty of
Tim, do you
AI.
have something else?
No.
Anybody else have anything further to add to this?
no, it looked good.
Nobody's going for question 8, nobody, we're gonna stick with 7.
I would say that the printer. Um,
Okay, these will be sent to our invitees, I will be saving this as a PDF and getting them off to them.
Thank you.
Oh, that can go out to the public too, the questions or no?
No, that's a good point. We'll put that with the,
In the forum page?
well, that might be too long for that, but like on the website, maybe we could add it to the
Yeah.
website.
I think
Or refer them to the town website or something.
Who's in charge of what for the outreach, just so we're clear? on that.
Judy, thank you, is willing to help with posting on the forum.
Okay.
Send me the information on the forum page.
Excellent.
I don't know.
I'm
I
not,
don't
They
know,
put it on the website.
I don't know who's been doing the website.
Well, they're telling me now that we're all responsible to do our own.
I don't have
I'm in
back
trouble.
end access password wise.
Oh,
You
oh,
can get one through Johanna.
I felt very cut off.
I was gonna say one thing that I thought that in the title of this, I think we should put Closed Village Housing Trust and Habitat for Humanity up and along with the line item of Planning and Zoning Commission versus this housing informational session. That's sort of what it is, but it's those two parties that are gonna be doing the
Informing.
answering and they should be in the headline. Not
P and Z commission.
Should we say P and Z and then we say host the
Closed Village
House
Housing
Village
Trust and
Housing Trust,
and the Habitat for Humanity.
Northwest Connecticut. Humanity, great.
You know, for a housing informational session or for a housing informational review
Is that really?
or
they go-
update or whatever we want to call it.
Oh my gosh,
I know.
be like dizzy.
Okay.
Okay, with nothing further, nothing going? Okay. Move on to item 4, old business, village center parking plan, nothing. Solar committee update, nothing. I will be talking to Chris about that hopefully shortly. Old firehouse sale, as far as I know, nothing new. Dark skies, good news. The daycare is back to dark again. So they fixed whatever lighting issue they had, cause it was off and nice and then it wasn't, but it seems to be fixed. I did reach out to Chris to ask him about the spotlight at LHK. That's my word. And he said he hadn't talked to anybody. He wasn't sure about Dave, so I'll check with Dave when he returns. What's he, next week or something?
Yeah, next Tuesday.
You haven't heard anything, right, Judy? Nobody's said anything.
About Kelly? No.
So we'll keep that on the list and hopefully we make some strides. POCD, item 5, other business, POCD implementation subcommittee update.
We had planned to meet on October 8th, but we did not have a quorum, so we couldn't. Everybody was all over the country on that day.
Yep.
So we need to reschedule.
Yeah, I need to.
I did send you guys an email. I didn't receive back any alternative dates, so let's look into November. Monday, Wednesday is best for me, but whatever day works better for you, if we can coordinate it, just nail one down. So if you could, as a task, just send me dates for you. And then what I'll do is return with calendar dates for boards and commissions that we should plan to try to sit in on. Done a couple already. I think it's valuable to people. I don't know, maybe they don't want to see us coming in. I don't know. I think just to announce yourself and let them know that we're there to help in any way we can. If it's a financial thing, maybe we can talk to the grant group and see if there's something that can be done, or what do we need to do to help you with regs or whatever it may be, to get stuff forward. And then at some point, we'll have to have another informational meeting just to kind of keep everybody interested or updated a little bit. And the last thing, Kim and I talked about trying to get the workbook up on the website, but that's not there, I believe, right, Kim?
I don't know. No,
Okay.
I don't think so, because built it, I haven't done it.
Yeah, that's okay.
Anything else with it?
I'll figure out
wasn't sure
the
if we-
process or what we need to do to get it posted. It should fall under our commission, just so it's available for people to actually do the work if they want to. So I'll work on that.
We just have to be sure, I know you know this, but that it's protected. So that the publicly accessed one, people can view it, but they cannot change it.
Yeah, you're the only editor of this.
Yeah, I just gotta be sure. Cause I don't wanna do it second time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, just to be safe.
What days of the week in November were best for you?
Monday, Wednesday always, but I'm good either, whatever day works, whatever you guys come up with. Just can't play pickleball that night.
Okay, we'll let you guys work on that. Thanks, Doug.
Yep.
P and Z monthly financial report review from town treasurer. Everybody have a copy of that? Anybody need it? We seem to be in order. I'll have to check. So the Catherine Bush was an accident that got hit in dark, but it got voided. You can see that. So that's why that's listed there, and it'll be listed there the whole year. Believe. I'm not sure how Patty gets paid, if it's she bills or if it's an automatic payment. We haven't seen anything since July. We know there's August and September that we owe her, so we're not that we're even remotely close to being out of money there, but do you know that interest?
That needs to do quarterly, so maybe she's gonna do it quarterly, because instead of doing, easier to do a larger check than a bunch of little checks, so
But
maybe
there's
she's
something
following
between
the same
Patty
thing,
and
but
Michelle that
I
they-
can ask Michelle.
And then Ally would forget for like the year.
Yes.
Any questions? I mean, everything, nothing was out of line. Okay. Moving on. Reassess priorities. We have homework. Did it come out as homework on the email?
I hope so.
Could anybody do their homework other than me?
Oh, yeah.
Anyone cheat out for me?
Great.
Please.
Gold star, big gold star, everyone that did it.
How do you want to kind of just go around and tally it up?
Let's put everybody on the.
Eileen, are you ready?
No, I didn't see where it said.
Can we just some of them before we decide priorities? Cause I had a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Number one, with the solar arrays, they're considered accessory structures now, is that what? When we were started to do this,
It's a creative way. It has been a creative way,
that's how you've been dealing with it up to now.
because we do not explicitly,
Yeah, no, that was my memory, so I wanted to make sure.
great question.
And number three, with the at least one unit of deeded restricted as affordable. Do we feel that could potentially affect development itself if that was part of our regulation? I like it as an idea, but I just don't know from practice if that would stop a developer from redoing a building or not redoing a building, and we're such a small town. I was wondering how that
But it would be
would
a
play in.
per allowance, it wouldn't be a per requirement. So if you wanted to do it, is that how that reads?
Yeah, my
I need
understanding.
a little.
Okay, I was reading it as a requirement, that's why I wanted to.
Modify,
I read it
so
differently.
modify, yeah, I mean, the one thing to do if we were to modify the zoning regulations to really clarify. If someone were to opt in. To conversion of a 2 to 3 family home. Yeah, Stephen, it's a good question. I read it that it's a requirement. So in
That's how I
order
read it,
to.
so.
In order for there to be a conversion of a larger home into a duplex or a triplex, at least one of the units has to be deed restricted as affordable. What's missing here is the term of that affordability. Could be a 1 year.
Well, and then.
Okay, I'm nervous that if we're trying to promote this idea, and I would hate to kibosh something right when we're trying to promote it. So that was my one, that's fine.
But if
Yeah.
you're calling it deed restricted, it's on title, right? And it stays on title.
But it could have a term, like 40 years, that's common.
Okay, all right, so.
The only issue I have is the word allow, does that made me read it completely?
This is verbatim from the P O C D.
Yeah,
So if
doesn't
it's
matter.
not
I guess I
clear,
didn't catch it there.
yeah, none of us.
I feel like 2 units is too few.
I feel,
I feel like it should be 3 or more.
I feel like we already allow for 2 units without an affordability restriction, so
I
that's.
thought we
a
did,
little
that's why I thought we
confusing.
made, when it went up above 2, we were trying to maybe nudge.
Squeeze a little,
but,
yeah.
Number 4 is, where are we talking about doing, cooperative or co-housing? Would that be more of a village zone? Would that be more in a rural zone? I think we should sort of discuss what we think cluster housing, where we think, because I would hate to say just in the village business district, if we were looking at a subdivision, cluster homes might be nice on a smaller lot.
That would be a part of number 4, of like areas appropriate,
Okay,
yeah,
And,
um,
while we're discussing 4,
yeah.
I think 4 for me, like one of my choices was to tie 4 in with 2.
agreed. That's why I was asking, was it gonna be part of the village, or were we looking
And-
at it
And
as
I,
part of our sort of subdivision regs in the rural zone as part of an option, or
Well,
not?
if you're gonna,
I sort
I
of
gave you
put,
copies, it's on the back.
I sort of put them together beyond just the village.
Totally, because I think there's other opportunities to
Yeah.
look at that, and then,
Agreed.
the idea of the smaller house. Is that the idea of multiple smaller homes on one lot? Or is it just the idea of creating the ability to build smaller homes? I didn't know what the language on that, what we were maybe trying to consider.
Cluster housing is typically many homes on a single lot.
So that would be the one lot idea,
Well,
right?
and I think the smaller
Same with
house is kind of
co-housing.
what's the term?
Tiny house?
Tiny house.
Yes, no, that's
Which could be its own entity.
totally, I
if
just was
we went that
wondering
direction.
how
Other
we
reg-
were wording that here.
Our regulations don't. Have size requirements for how minimums, so like we already allow for.
Great.
small
know,
homes.
If so, the question like what I would come up is, I remember Gretchen asking me if she could put a mini. House.
Tiny house.
Tiny house.
A tiny home on any, she had a main house, which she felt was too big for her. She would, subsequently it didn't happen, but she would have put a tiny house for herself on the lot. And
Rent
rent
out.
out to a family, the big house was what she was trying to do, but it turned out she moved, but. Doug,
so all of this kind of ties into number 11, Plan Development District Regulations, which is really modifying zones to allow certain things that ordinarily wouldn't be. So it all kind of, I mean, that's one of my priorities, looking at all the affordable housing options and things we could possibly do. But then we need to probably explore and look into our own Plan Development District regulation
right,
to allow it to happen.
agreed. But this is the tough part, right? We have 15 items, but we have to start somewhere. So this is kind of the goal is. There's not just, if it didn't make your top 3, doesn't mean that we don't want to get to it. We're just trying to get a straw poll in essence from the commission of what,
Sure.
how we would like to proceed through these different
Well,
areas.
it's all in a P O C D that needs to get done at some point. So it's right now, what do we want to do first?
Yeah, and
Did-
Doug, I think for your question too, it's sort of like, what's that logical sequence?
Yeah,
So like for you, if you're like, all of this would fit into the PDD, my logic would be, let's do that first, because that's like the big chunk
all,
that
something,
everything could
yeah.
really quickly maybe
Yeah.
slide into.
right.
Wishful thinking.
Didn't we accomplish number 10?
That's what I was gonna ask. I have that one marked. Yeah, I was.
And number 14, didn't we accomplish most of that, or do we
Yeah.
wanna,
What I
do we
thought
wanna
too.
add to that? So
Yeah.
I think
To
we've
you
done
guys.
10 and 14.
Beautiful.
10's definitely done. 14, I was gonna ask, are these diverse activities different than what we
What
talked
we
about
are,
before?
yeah,
I don't
that
know.
was my question as well. And then,
Right.
number 7 is really more of a look forward to the historic district, more of that happening than necessarily us needing to do that yet. I think we need to establish more of what you're trying to do first before we try to really make regulations around that. Is what I was assuming.
Yeah, great point.
And then I wanted to say that 6 and 2 are really GIS first. So I would like to say that sort of 2 and 6 are kind of out for right now, in my opinion, because I would like to, I mean, they're important, that's why we're doing the GIS, but I think let's use our time to do something else while we're pushing forth the GIS.
Yeah, I sort of just, because I chose 4 and 2. because I think that work can be done. I agree that it has to, the GIS could help it, but I think if GIS doesn't, for whatever reason, get approved or approved now, I still think that we should, personally, I think we should go in that direction.
Great. Okay.
But GIS would make it much better.
Much easier to
Totally
actually
agree.
accomplish.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about, like number 5, it's, accessory dwelling. Is that considered like an in-law house, an in-law apartment?
In essence, yes,
Sorry,
we
yeah,
have a
somebody-
regulation and
It could be better.
it's just a matter if we should.
And
sharpen it up.
my one question tied into that actually was, does it have to be part of the house, or can an accessory dwelling actually not be
A small house.
A tiny house.
And so I want to make sure that we're, because we should look at it in both ways. I think that that's important. Okay.
I came through all the housing stuff, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the ones that I should have just feel like.
Or you want to start marking?
I guess Tim jumped to it.
Great. Thanks for moving it along.
So before you guys do, sorry.
Unless we
Matt.
want to knock off something oneer, you know, you pick.
But I was gonna say that, I thought that some of
sometimes might be good to-
the things that are related, I
You're
feel like they
taking
should be
it apart.
taken together because they might
Good
impact
point.
each other.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
there's a couple that talk about economic development in some form or fashion
It's
that
kind
they
of
should
that group.
kind of be grouped together.
Nice.
Just so that we don't inadvertently decide something and then, you know what I mean, a month or 2 later.
Yeah.
Contradict ourselves or whatever.
Do you want to talk what theme you want to go towards?
Well, to me, like, it felt like there's a housing related category and then there's a business development related category. Those are the 2
Yeah.
broader ones that jumped out to me.
I got the same
think
thing.
if we go
Yep.
through the exercise of the 1, 2, 3s, which doesn't matter, it's just the 3 categories, not necessarily in order of importance. But it should show whether we're going economic, housing, and kind of, we can just revisit it from there and reorganize.
Yeah, great.
Which puts you in the spotlight, Doug. You're up.
So Tim said housing.
So the housing clump.
Okay.
So I had housing as sort of that big umbrella, which included the PDD. Then I put in farm regs, but it was leaning a little bit more toward economic development. So we're trying to help local farms develop things that may bring in revenue for them, but also the town and attraction or whatnot. So that was important, I thought. And then the economic side of it all, I think it all kind of ties in. But to Stephen and Tim's point, the housing thing to me just kind of overrides almost everything.
Mm.
And Janelle, you brought up a good point. If you did the PDD concept first, things sort of fall in line under that. So that's kind of where I landed.
So I picked 2, 3, big surprise there, considering how focused I am on housing, and 14. And the reason I picked 14, not really thinking that we had kind of addressed some of the farm issues, but, kind of tagging on what Doug said, I think we want to give people at farms the ability to have roadside stands, right? And be able to not just to support our own residents, but to attract residents from other towns, right? I think of, I grew up in Newington, and the one farm there, Eddie Farm, they have this great, wagon that they pull out from May until October, and, people just go and get their vegetables, right? So if we had more of that in town, I think it would certainly support local farming, which is what we need to do. It would also bring people into town, like, oh, maybe someone lives in North Canaan, let me drive down and get my eggs or get my vegetables or whatever. So just giving more flexibility to the farmers that we have in town, and maybe helping, encourage people to farm even more. And that's kind of where I was focused on, and hoping that that is economic development to some level for some of our residents.
Vince,
I'm not prepared to do.
you get a pass. So I chose 2 and 4, where I looked at it as one, as I said. Number 8, economic development. See if there's any impediments in it. And number 11. But I also, I went between 11 and 14 because I had kind of the same thinking that you guys had. I mean, I know we looked at it, but is there any sort of, how do we tie that? It feels like we're ready to tie that now that we improved and we can do the farm stands much easier and whatnot. How do we tie that into the economic development to help the farmer? Because that's such always, at least in the last 2 POCDs, and probably since beginning of POCDs in Falls Village, always so high in the
I printed out a couple examples for PDD. I'm sure you've seen them, but Old Saybrook and New Milford both have pretty comprehensive plans laid out. And I'll admit it, I wasn't real familiar with the whole concept. So of course I went on AI and it came up with a pretty good explanation of everything under the umbrella of PDD. So if anybody wants a copy of that, I've printed out a couple of them. I'm the only one that had no clue. Anyway,
Irene,
Yes.
do you want to choose or do you want?
Oh. I'm still on
Very
Doug's stuff.
very serious student. Yes.
Well, yeah, the housing thing, I mean, because we're doing the affordable housing and all that kind of stuff, so we might as well just keep going. And the village business district, that's been in my folder since I've been on.
Yeah, me too.
So,
Been on for 20
yeah,
years.
so it's like, I'm gonna talk about it this month. Yeah, and then just buttoning up the 14, the agriculture. You hear of people, the farm stands, obviously, and then the farmers markets would be perfect, um. And everybody would be growing their vegetables,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's pretty much all I'm thinking of right now.
Kim?
I think for me personally, I like the idea of focusing on the village business zone, mainly because that helps draw people to the community. But I do also think that the housing issues are, for the community as a broader sense, are pretty key at this point. So I would be agreeable to focusing on that kind of first. But hopefully when we get to the village business district, that will help on the housing side as well. And I'm just refreshing my memory here that, that the ones that are here now are based on how we voted back in February of 2025. And so you can see that the housing ones were up high then too. So it kind of only makes sense that we stick with that and focus on that.
Stephen?
I like number one simply because I think it's accessible. I think we could actually accomplish it very quickly. I think it's kind of more standard stuff.
That's fair.
So even if we don't vote on doing number one, can we just do number one? Because I think it would give us an accomplishment when we're working on our other.
It's simple, yeah, it's simple, that's.
And we had been talking about it for a while, and I do think that what.
15-1.
Yes,
I
exactly.
just feel like you might be able to cross them off your list quick.
And I do think that
They're not as
Janelle,
complicated.
it's part of our P O C D, and if it's not really listed and we're doing it sort of as accessory structures and we're sort of fiddling with it, let's just bang it out. So that would be my vote, along with, as we were talking, 2, 4, and even 5. I do think that we should look at,
Yeah.
because I think this idea of accessory dwelling in-law unit's fine, and that's a great idea, but I think we need to look at these other concepts, because I do really think, we have an aged community. I love the idea of a smaller home on your property. You could still live in your home. You'd have another family or other people there. I think it would really benefit our community in more ways that we could understand yet. And so I want to make sure we don't lose sight of that.
Mark, did you have anything?
Nope.
Okay, thanks. Perfect. Janelle, is that enough of,
That's great.
yeah.
I'm sad we forgot about hydro systems. We just talked about solar and wind, but that's fine.
Oh,
I'm
thanks for
teasing.
making it harder now. I'm trying to give myself a mission.
Teasing, but wind energy systems. Happy to work on that with the solar. That's quite.
I think
straightforward.
solar's the first shot.
Yeah.
We can look at wind second. I think that as
There-
part of our P O C D, I think it would just be nice if we could accomplish.
We'll give you you use your latitude.
Yeah, that sounds great. And then one other thought, just with this whole concept of the accessory dwelling units and not requiring them to be attached or in a garage was really interesting too, as a sort of tangent or tangential to farms, is looking at conversions of barns. Sometimes it's helpful to actually have a unit in a barn in the event that you either want some flexible space and or you need a farmhand. So
Yeah.
conversions
Super
of
smart.
barns
Mine's
really,
house, whatever you.
yeah, I
That's
mean,
interesting. Yeah.
barns are hard buildings to preserve, but all the more reason if we can.
That's a great idea. I didn't think about
And
that.
they have there's a lot of space, so we can kind of try to work conversions of barns into some of the housing stuff.
Great.
And not just for housing. I mean, you could do, I know artists and many people that have really kept barns looking aesthetically historical and readapting their use. So. Plenty to
You
work
have
on.
something else to add, I think?
No, I think it's
Look-
great.
look at
So
your-
one thing I did want to add is just your accomplishments to date as a group.
Yes, thank you.
Just- I track this with various towns that I do work with, and I have to say, Falls Village, like you're absolutely doing a lot. It was a lot for me to even develop this list and go through everything. There's sometimes I can list 2 things for like 3 years. So I pat yourselves all on the back because you're all instrumental in working on that,
That's you.
being
So
thoughtful
thank
on
you,
that.
Janelle, for
No, thanks. I
keeping,
mean,
bringing it every week, every
Go
month and
keep.
saying, look at this again and look at this again and look at this again.
one other thought actually about the ag, while we are not working on it, but what might be nice is just a little friendly mailer that is aesthetically pleasing, that sort of like, hey, in case you're not aware, you can have a farm stand, you can have a farm store, because I don't think that PR has happened. I know we have like some farm friends on this board, but I think maybe like a little bit of a wider
That's a great idea.
communication like we've been doing with the dark skies, maybe just some sort of communication, like if you haven't considered, you can have an egg stand, you can have a farm stand.
Yeah, we definitely
Are there
should.
any groups or organizations that farmers belong to?
It's such a great question.
Like, already that share information about farm stands and go and bring your stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
To get it
I
out
mean,
there.
I I know people who've looked into, you know, into trying to get a group of
Right.
different people around town together, hopefully within a year, something
I mean,
comes up.
the farms
Coming up.
active in Falls Village today.
Oh, well, there's, one dairy farm. Um. Geez, one. Multiple vegetable farmers, get
Yeah.
Latimer and
Not
the
putting you on
major.
the spot, but I know, and I mentioned this before, Canaan, North Canaan does a pretty good job. There's 4 major families up there, I think. But they sent out a postcard to your point one time, and it was great. It just showed a little of each of them, a little bit of information, contact, great pictures in the farm, doing whatever. It was a great marketing tool. So I would support something like that 100%. If we gathered, people from here the same way,
Yeah,
just give them exposure. And it was just a mass mailing, which is kind of cool.
that's a good idea. There was, the cafe before Liz got there. They had a TV
The
or
rolling video.
yeah,
Yeah.
of different farms, local farms in the area.
Yeah.
And there's all small, I sell eggs and you guys sell syrup and honey and
Sure.
so sells,
A nice map, just like.
Yeah,
on-
that would be.
Like a cute
Yeah.
graphic map.
On a smaller scale, there is a plan with all us maple syrup producers in town, which Greg, I don't know if you're aware of this. When they do the statewide, march, I think it is, for the maple syrup tours, we want to do that in town. So all of those who produce maple syrup can have open house that weekend.
That's awesome.
So it's things like
Maple
that. I
Mill.
think if you start
Like,
working
Yeah.
together a little bit and.
that's awesome.
The
Yeah,
Maple
yeah.
Trail,
That
the
would be
Falls
so
Village Maple.
fun.
Go to the Sugar Shack, they see how Sugar Shack is doing their maple syrup production, do little samples and things like that, so. should
That'd be a
pretty
great
good.
promotion.
That's
Totally,
really
I like
cool.
that.
and, is it in July? Like Litchfield and Goshen.
Yeah, Goshen does the
they're-
farm tour.
They do
Yeah.
a farm tour every year.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a 2-day event.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they have maps and you
Yeah,
can go here
yeah.
for this and there for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some friends from New York and we went to a bunch in Goshen, and they loved it. But so many I never even knew where.
Yeah.
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 That's what we have here,
You guys
scattered
have it,
everywhere.
It's just hidden.
Yeah.
We just need to expose.
Quality.
I think that's a great.
Things.
So maybe that's how we promote.
Yeah.
farms.
Or can we do it on the town website?
I just want to show up on a
Yeah.
horse-drawn sleigh.
Yeah.
All right, moving along, time is ticking. Historic Study Committee update.
Well, I'd love to turn this over to Judy because she's with us this evening, but I have had the pleasure of working with the Historic Study Committee. There's a report that has been in progress for since 2023, and it's getting very close to completion, which would then be referred to this board in advance of the local adoption of a local historic district. Not to get too in the weeds of that approval, it's pretty lengthy. It's all statutory required. The goal of this study committee, my understanding, is really to test the waters and make sure that there is the palette for establishing a local historic district. So there's a lot of education that goes behind that. It's not just about needing specific guidance for any sort of permits. It would require that anything in the public right of way that's visually seen goes through the historic district, the local historic district for review prior to getting a zoning permit. And the point of it is really to keep the very significant historic district, which we all are very aware of, intact. Intact, not saying no changes ever. We know we need to replace our windows, we need new roofs, but that the aesthetic and the historic significance doesn't get lost. With incremental changes that we don't always see, but they can happen without the proper protection. So this group has been diligently reviewing this report, talking about the best way to really bring this to the community so that it gets support. the support is mostly needed, not only from the P and Z as a referral to the Board of Selectmen as a referral, but the vote would go out to everyone living in this historic district, whether or not their house is deemed historically significant. It's basically the parameters of this district. A 2/3 vote affirmative would be required. So
From just that population.
from just that population,
So if you're not there, no vote.
one vote per property. So, each property owner would get their vote. And the point really and why this has taken some of the time that it has is making sure before going out to vote that there is not misinformation about what's being presented. Or because it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of money to put 2/3 of this district to make sure that they can vote. The ballots are mailed. And this group has invested a lot of time, so right now, there's a lot of conversation happening around framing it, having an open house at the Historical Society and putting out the word so that it's really seen as a benefit to those that don't even live in the district. So Judy, I don't know if I missed anything.
So our big concern was not to scare the property owner away, saying this is gonna be just another bureaucracy and we don't want to deal with it, things like that. We want to be more encouraging to maintain their house to look as it is. But we're not going to be so restrictive like Litchfield is. If you need to replace your windows, we're not going to enforce the like other historic districts that it's got to be a wooden window. We want something that's practical, but it's still gonna maintain a historic look. So, it's been really hard, and I gotta say, we could not do this without Janelle. She has been phenomenal.
That's sweet.
And, she's really been the guiding force behind us because we were kind of like vague on a lot of these statutes and things like that. And she's been really, really helpful. But like I said, the main thing is we don't want to put the fear into the residents or the property owners. That this is going to be too restrictive. We just want to maintain our town charm and character, and it's to their benefit too.
So Judy, I have 3 questions, kind of or comments maybe. I'm sure you guys already talked about it, like an info session we're doing with this group, something like that.
Yeah.
Is that what was you meant by the, okay, I just wasn't clear if that.
Yeah, so
That would be,
like, we have a tremendous amount of files at the Historical Society on different houses and buildings in town, so people can come and look and see the history of their home.
yeah,
And they should be really proud to have that house.
for sure.
So it's just basically information like that.
Yeah, great. Do you have like a rough idea when this might move forward to
Or-
them?
Did we say by February?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we
And-
want an example to help motivate people to sign up. Go to council.
Yeah, it's a great,
Yeah,
great.
so on the East Street, High Street, that neighborhood, on one side of the street was historic district. On the other side of the street, it was not. And there was a house that was, I don't want to say it was a quarter of an acre, one house, historical house. But they were not in the district. Someone bought that house was sold, they bought it, and there was enough room to squeeze in 2, as one of my friends calls them, mini high rises. That are vinyl sided, obviously don't fit the character of the historic neighborhood.
Right.
So if you're trying to build some momentum as to why you want to do this, right?
Show
that's-
pictures of what Collins.
Yeah, go drive around Council and take
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah, yeah.
and my last, again, not a question, but is there anything that P and Z can do to help you guys at this point? We already are.
Share my time with them.
What?
The one thing it says that is really notable in the report, and I'm happy to share this, you will all be referred this, it's very visual, there. I took a lot of time. There's a wonderful pamphlet. If you want to learn more about the Historical Society, there's a walking tour pamphlet that it's a little dated, but the information's really great. I've done it with friends, like before burger night, just to be like, hey, let's make Falls Village a destination, and it's really neat. But the proposed regulations,
Ambassador.
they really say, the purpose of the historic district is to promote the educational, economic, and general welfare of its citizens through preservation and protection of its buildings and place. And that's for the good of the community. It's not just for the good of the people living there, it's the good for all of you, that you have a hamlet like that to go to walk to get your coffee, go to the post office,
Yes.
stop at the auto shop, all of it.
And just the comment about Litchfield, that's what everybody thinks
Yeah.
instantly. Oh my God, I have to have a white door.
Yeah.
I'm changing my white
So
door.
we can't do anything, we can't tell people what color to paint their
Right,
house.
right.
We're not gonna get into, you can't have window boxes because they didn't have window boxes back then.
Right, right.
That's, no, we're not gonna be
Perfect.
like that.
Thank you for your work.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Does the idea of a historic district that is this specific area that we're dealing with, but do we have an ancillary like historic districts, for instance, like Music Mountain? And what's, you know,
There are in some towns,
Yeah,
Well, I'm just-
Salisbury does that.
yeah.
I'm thinking that, you know, when I went to the last concert at Music Mountain, I sat next to a woman that was 106 years old. She was at the
Teenager.
first concert at
Oh,
Music
wow.
Mountain, and they just put out a booklet that sort of gives a historical reference to the whole development of Music Mountain. And when you talk about the Sears Roebuck buildings and the way they were brought up on a boat and then train and then horses and buggies. But I think that if there's a way to incorporate some of the ancillary places that are in town that are also historic, it would add to this idea that it's not just the center of town.
Well, and that I'm not, yeah, like Mark, I don't know if you want to speak, but I know Mark and Susan worked really hard to get their place on, is it the national? On the national, so
Same with
so
the
private.
National Trust. National Trust, historic places, yeah.
Yes, the same as the meeting house. So we had discussed on whether to do that, but we thought, excuse me, if we got the village center done first, because the district is a national listing right now. Then maybe we could start addressing other parts of town, like around the meeting house and Mark's house and sections of Music Mountain. We could branch out, but we're gonna concentrate first on the village and get that in place.
Well, it's so neat because as people either come to the informational or interact with the historical society and the study committee more and more, it could be a moment if there's an interested group of residents that live up on Music Mountain to take a lot of what this group is doing and learning and apply it up there. Not to convolute, there's many different levels of historic preservation. So there's the National Registrar, there's individual houses with the plaques that we see around town. This is really a local historic district to consider it as a district. So intact, you look at it as sort of this unit that comprehensively is looked at together. Sharon is a great example, the area around the green, that's very significant. And that's remained the way that it is visually attractive with the lime trees, with the sidewalks, with the granite, because of the efforts of the Historic District Commission. That wasn't just organically great. And as we have seen the interest in town with zoning permits, most of my renovations that I am getting is for significant properties downtown. So people have graciously used their best judgment in a lot of the renovations, but that's just been stroke of luck.
Yeah.
Until it's not. All right. anything
And
further?
does being part of a historic district, I believe I read at some point in time that the state has grant money to help, rehab historic homes, right? So being part of a historic district would open up to that.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
very much.
And state and then even national, and then if the
Private.
town wants to even
Mhm.
figure out that sort of thing, tax abatement, there's, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Village business zone expansion, GIS mapping.
I'm sorry, before we move on, I just had one quick thing. You asked that very, very important question about what the P and Z can do to help.
Yes.
There is the need to print a deliverable, which will be the report, which is going to be referred to this board. I'm assuming everyone on this board will probably want a copy of that. And then the copy for the Historical Society and those sorts of things. I don't want to put us on the spot because I know we've yet to talk to Board of Finance about GIS and everything, but in the event that the Board of Selectmen cannot find the funds to do so, at least for the purposes of printing for the referral, I'm hoping that we could use the P and Z money towards some of that. And I would never move forward without.
For sure.
Okay.
Let's hope that the Board of Selectmen can find it.
Yeah.
There must be a jar buried under the maple tree.
And what-
Isn't there, I thought they charged for the charging station.
Yes.
Like, isn't there like nickels and dimes in there?
Nice, community investment
Yeah.
fund.
Yeah.
The one fun fact, there's about 70 properties that would be in this district, so that would be about 70 people voting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Great,
Had that map out at one point, didn't we?
yeah.
Village business zone expansion, GIS mapping, we don't have anything on that, right?
We talked about it before, so I think we're gonna wait for some pricing.
Yep.
And we'll put it to the next meeting.
Okay, moving along, item 7, ZEO
Great.
report.
I have a quick question, sorry. Any update on the Nova group that came through? Anything new with that or? Any takers?
Janelle could answer maybe a little bit better. I think they're still.
They are open to this town.
open.
They they are clearly very open to the town. They're aware of the regulation change. I kept them apprised of that. Until there's land that's actually appropriate, there's not anything that they can do.
Somebody has to
They
step up.
can't create land. Yeah.
They're looking for something that really doesn't exist
Yeah,
here, so we
so-
have to be creative.
Yeah.
That's why I was joking that if Vince and I got together, that we might be able to find 10 acres. If they want to look at 4 acres of us, there's a couple properties down on Cobble Road that were hay fields that you could sort of look at along the Hollenbeck. But they might flood a little bit. I've been looking on maps trying to find, but then you have to go to that owner of that property to ask them. It's not like the town owns a large swath of property, so it's tricky. I've been
The,
trying to.
I think
finagle.
Eversource owns that big old field right down by the
well, and I
Housatonic.
think the high school's now working.
They are.
On that.
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I'm
But I
kind of
think
teasing.
we could do that with a high school.
I'm teasing. Yeah. Teasing, there's a
Well,
lot
there's
of
the
corn
garden
there,
at Lee
too.
Kellogg, can we just spread like a
He's
grant?
got the land over there.
And it'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, they were
Fun
very,
school.
they were very pleased with this group. It seemed like such a perfect fit. It's just a matter of finding that right.
And like
right
BB Hill
land.
didn't work because it's ledge, so they have done some research in our
Corn.
community.
And.
They test the
acreage is
soils,
corn-
so,
corn. It's
yeah.
hard to find a spot that didn't have
We
corn.
got it, but, you know, I just don't think we can even get it through for a place like Music Mountain.
It wouldn't be as hard as you think, because again, it's farming, so.
It's already allowed in the.
It's already allowed in the rural, in our zone, and it would be the same kind of fencing that the farm had right at the edge of Music Mountain and Aspen Hill there, when they had that huge fencing for the deer fence. It'd be the
Right.
same idea, so it is farming, so I think it could work on Music Mountain, it could work on Cobble Road, it even could work on Under Mountain or Canaan Mountain. But in Canaan Mountain's, the problem is there's a lot of corn up there, so that was the
Yeah.
problem with
We
Canaan
got,
Mountain.
we
Yeah,
got the
soil and
right
stone.
soil.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, well, it's pretty rough.
but
Steepness, but anyhow.
All right, thank
hopefully that
you.
answered. All right, CEO report, any questions for Daryl? I have them too, so. Could you just, I know we talked and I don't remember, is that our question gonna sort of deal with that?
Yeah,
I don't
so,
know what the-
Thanks to Kathy, we've reworded, so we're talking about the Laura Warren's request for the administering agency. There was a email received requesting that some sort of question of this nature be included. So thanks to your wordsmithing and our readaption of the question, I think we're still getting at what was asked.
Great.
So hopefully that will
Can-
satisfy that.
Can you tell us about number 2? On miscellaneous, the inquiry from Reno, Nevada company?
Yeah, that's just, there's study groups and they ask about where we're at in the
Possibilities, okay,
town. Yeah,
got it.
this is common.
Yeah, no,
I think once a year they look, I don't know if it tends to be students doing research. Not sure of their angle.
and then there's a demolition, but you have no jurisdiction on a demolition?
Nope.
Oh,
Zoning, which is really
That's
important
interesting.
actually for the
for the
historic
historic
district.
district, that's what I was wondering.
So just so everyone's aware, zoning permit,
Linear.
like if there's a building to be demoed, I as CEO have no authority. I don't issue that permit. I don't get involved. I wouldn't even be informed.
Got it.
The building official by statute technically has to inform me of anything that they're issuing, but that doesn't mean I have any
Do they
authority.
have to issue something for
They
a
do.
demolition?
They
So they
do.
do at least. So someone has to know before something gets knocked down.
They do, but for building demolition, like that permit, it's
It's just paperwork.
just
Got
paperwork.
it. Okay.
There's no question saying, is this a historic district or is this building over 200 years old?
Okay. No,
Anything.
you explained it.
Yeah.
That was my one.
No,
issue. I
great.
didn't know that was a thing.
So Stephen, another thing, this may have come up, it was about a year ago, it was in January, there was a moment that we may have briefly discussed a demo delay ordinance,
We talked about
which we
it.
would then have to refer to Board of Selectmen to adopt at the town level. In the event that, like, to Vince's point, there's other pockets of significant properties around town, Barnes Road, Music Mountain, not just in the historic district. In the event that this board felt strongly about buildings over a certain age, you can certainly refer a demo delay to your Board of Selectmen.
Got it.
It doesn't mean that it would prohibit demo, it just means that before any demolition, his study would have to take place. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I remember.
yeah.
Thank you.
Public comment, official correspondence, that's what I just gated for seeing and we had something, but it's still really.
No, actually,
I read those.
You read it?
Yeah.
no one online.
Some case law, yeah,
I hope you sleep.
definitely. Yeah, there's updates on like social media used by government officials.
Nothing further, motion to adjourn at 8:16.
Who makes the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Vincent and Kim, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved, thank you all.
It's 8. Jeanette,
Yeah.
can you remember to put seating alternates on our agenda?
My
Because we
goodness,
didn't do
I
it
am
again
so
tonight.
sorry. Yes, let me, oh.
And it was fine. We had enough people, but we could have sat somebody because Matt wasn't here. We
Oh.
didn't,
Oh, God.
but I didn't remember it till too late, so I just, if that could be on the agenda.
Can you
just-
do me a favor if I send out the agenda again without it? Can you, once I get a template going,
No, I know. I'll email you about it then, because you send it
Do
out
my
and then I
best.
don't like to make you change it once you send
No,
it
I
out,
love
so I
it.
just
I
try to
would
keep
prefer-
asking you
no,
now.
no, I would-
I will say that the next meeting on November 18th, I will not be able to participate in Zoom or in person. So you will,
So
There'll be a
there will
spot
be
for an alternate.
tasks.
So we
handed
will
out, and
definitely
will
need
get all-
to.
Subcommittee.
Thanks, Mark, for everything. Have a great night.
I know I
All
won't
7 and
be here
19.
for the December meeting.
You're fired.
November.
Wait, you're.